Hey everyone, welcome back to another Dead City video. This is for episode 6. This episode was strange, really strange. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. In my last review, I spoke about how I thought that now that the Dama died, Croat would grasp the power that he wants. He is the one that invented the methane. He is the one that's in charge. He deferred to the Dama, but now that she's gone, I really thought that he would have taken that power for himself. But no, that's not what happened. If anything, he deferred to Negan, which was very surprising to me. So let's get into the episode now. We have a shot of the Dama burned up. Croat is with Negan. Croat's looking at the dead rat on the floor. Again, a reminder of the argument that he had with the Dama. Negan is just looking at Croat with some sympathy. Croat leaves the room and he's having like an anxiety attack, like lost his balance, and he has to sit down. And Negan talks to him, and Negan's like, look, you're free to leave. You don't have to stay here anymore. And it's not your fault. It happened. But he can't understand. The Croat can't wrap his mind around why the Dama died like that. And he feels guilty that he didn't save her. He said, I could have saved her, and I didn't. Then we see in the next scene, he and Negan go back to the cathedral, and they're sharing a cigarette, which is nice. They're having like a moment of friendship and talking. Croat said he wants to go back to Croatia. And Negan is saying, yeah, why don't you do that? Go to Croatia. That's a great idea. So he says, Negan, come with me. Come with me. Why don't you come with me? And Negan says, well, I really can't. He goes, oh, yeah, your wife and kid are coming. That's right. Meanwhile, Negan has his feet up on the railing, and we see Croat look at his feet, and he's noticing the blood stains on the sole of his shoe. So he realizes that Negan is the one that killed the rat. And Negan puts his foot down and is hoping the Croat didn't see that, but, we see that he did. So then they have a showdown in the next scene. They're walking in the main part of the cathedral, and Croat accuses him. He says, you put that rat idea in my head. You're responsible for the Dama's death. You did it. You killed her. And Croat goes into a rage. He grabs the bat, and he starts hitting Negan with the bat. And Negan falls down, and Negan's trying to get away from him. And finally, the Croat tries to hit Negan with the bat again. And Negan grabs the bat, and he's like holding the bat, and he's trying to get the Croat to stop. And he starts yelling, and then he hits the Croat himself. He hits the Croat in the shoulder, and the Croat falls back into the pew, and Negan is like yelling at him. He said, I saved you from her. I did that for you. You're free to go. You don't have to stay here. And he said, I made you what you are. And the Croat said, you're right. You did. Everything I have is because of you. So Negan is taking full responsibility for the Croat's ways, his evil ways, because he was a savior. He worshipped Negan. Negan taught him how to control groups, how to be powerful, and the Croat learned from him. So Negan feels responsible for the Croat, and he tells him to leave and don't come back. It's interesting because the Croat, you can see he's like a little boy. He's like, Negan, no, don't banish me. No, he needs someone to take care of him. He can't be a leader. He needed the Dama. He needs Negan. Dama was like his mother, and Negan is like his dad. He cannot be powerful on his own. He looks very sad and very upset that Negan told him to leave. Now, why did Negan tell him to leave? I think that Negan does feel responsible for the way the Croat turned out, but the Croat is an evil guy on his own. I mean, he kills people. He kills children. Negan doesn't kill children. So this writing part, it didn't really work for me. If he had banished Croat because Croat was an evil guy, I could understand that. He's afraid that Croat might hurt somebody. So he doesn't want him around. And if anything, I would think he would put him in a jail cell. He wouldn't let him just walk out into the street. So I kind of have a problem with that. So now that Croat left, Negan is standing there, and all these Barazzis are looking at him. And it's like, so what is Negan now, the new leader of the Barazzi? I wonder, is this what Negan wants? Does he want that power again? The way he had the power with the Saviors. So that's an interesting dynamic. And his wife and child are coming there. That's what the Dama told him. He doesn't know what to do because now he feels responsible for these Barazzi for some reason. And also Maggie and Herschel, he knows they're there. And he seems to feel responsible for both of them. I think that's why he's staying there. But really, Negan is a free guy. He could leave right now. When his wife and son come, they can all leave together and go away somewhere. Negan doesn't have to stay there. So we do see later in the episode that his wife and son do arrive by boat. They came by boat. And Negan is using binoculars and he's looking out the window and he sees his wife and his son. And you can imagine how long it's been that he has seen them. And instead of him wanting to be with them and running out into the street and saying, hey, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get the hell out of here. He tells the Barazzi to take them away, put them back on the boat, and send them back to Tennessee where they were before. This is what Negan does, which, again, to me is a writing flaw. Why would you do that? He would rather stay there and fight for what? What is he fighting for? The methane? The Barazzi? He wants to fight Bruegel? What is he doing? He wants to be in charge again? He wants to be Negan, the leader of the Saviors? What is it that he's doing? It didn't quite make sense to me that he would not have gone away with his wife and kid, especially in this type of world, that he'd want to protect them. So instead, he sends them back on a boat where anything could happen to them. That was a big flaw to me. There's a couple of more things that I'll talk about later. Now, Maggie and Armstrong and Herschel and Jenny all meet up with Bruegel. Bruegel finds them in Central Park, and he brings them to the museum where he is. And he's having a banquet for them. Bruegel likes to throw these lavish dinner parties. I don't know. I mean, he's sitting there, he's drinking wine. He's giving everybody wine. He gives wine to the kids. He says, let's pretend we're in Europe, drink away. And Jenny does. She grabs that wine and she just drinks the whole thing. But anyway, Bruegel is saying he wants their help. He wants to get the methane, and he's willing to work with New Babylon because he knows New Babylon wants the methane, but he wants it too. So he's willing to help out. And Maggie's like saying, why all of a sudden are you helping? You're friends with Croat. You're friends with Negan. Why are you helping us? He said, look, I'm going to take care of Croat and Negan, meaning he's going to kill them. He said, so you guys don't have to worry about them anymore. I am going to work with you. So when he said he's going to kill them, Maggie didn't look too happy about that. So later on, she's speaking with Armstrong, and she says to Armstrong, I don't want to do this deal. I don't trust Bruegel. Why should we trust him? He keeps changing alliances. Armstrong said, who cares? As long as he works with us, we'll get the methane, and it will work out fine. And then Maggie said, no, we can do it ourselves. We can get the methane. We don't need Bruegel. Armstrong calls her out. He says, I don't understand. You wanted Negan dead. Now you're trying to save his life? And Maggie says it's not like that. He says, well, that's what it sounds like to me. Meantime, Herschel is observing all of this. We see a scene that they're staying in the museum. Herschel gets up in the middle of the night while Maggie is sleeping. Everybody's sleeping. And he goes to the walkers that are in there. There's like a bunch of walkers that are chained up. I guess Bruegel uses them for bodyguards. He cuts the neck of one of them and gets some blood into a flask. And he goes over to a water fountain, a water silo, a water source for everybody in the museum. And he's trying to poison the water. Maggie catches him just before he does it. And she's like, what are you doing? The kid's like, oh, what do you care? And Herschel starts arguing with her. And she says, did Dama tell you to do this? And Herschel didn't answer. It's interesting because Herschel is being used by the Dama to hurt Bruegel, to hurt the Bruegel's people. But by hurting Bruegel's people, he's also hurting his own mother and Armstrong and Jenny. because everybody drinks this water. So I don't know what Herschel was thinking. And why is he doing this? Why is he willing to kill people for the Dharma? It really doesn't make any sense how she's been able to manipulate him and brainwash him to that extent. So he tells Maggie he's leaving. He opens the door and he sees something outside, something terrifying, like a big monster. So Maggie said, "What is it?" And Maggie sees it's a bear. It's a grizzly bear coming at them. She closes the door. The bear tries to break the door. And she says, "Come, run, run, Herschel, run." So they're running through the museum. The bear somehow breaks through that door and comes right in and just making a beeline for them. So Maggie says, "Herschel, you go a different direction." And she leads the bear away from where Herschel is. So she gets an idea to free the walkers that are chained up, figuring that the walkers will eat the bear. Meantime, this bear looks in pretty bad shape. This bear is missing an eye. He's got blood all over his snout, blood all over him in general. I mean, this bear looks pretty bad. And you have to ask yourself, when you first see the bear, you're like, is this bear zombified? Or is it like a rabid bear or what? Because as soon as it saw Maggie, it only wanted to kill Maggie. It didn't care about the walkers or anything else. Now you could say, well, maybe sense of smell, that the bear could smell Maggie, a live person, over the dead, the walkers. So that could be possible too. But anyway, she unleashes on the walkers and they go to attack the bear. And the bear gets rid of them. The bear just stomps on them and kills them. And then he's running after Maggie. So this scene was interesting. I have to say, the bear looked pretty good. The CGI was okay. It was actually the highlight of the episode in a way. So the bear is chasing her around and, she starts throwing daggers at it and it keeps coming. So suddenly Herschel from above, he's watching this and he's throwing knives at the bear. And he caught the bear twice and the bear was angry, is bleeding and it's angry. And he still chases Maggie. But luckily Maggie ducks behind like a gate. And the bear lands on the gate and he's impaled and he dies, right through his throat. So that was an interesting scene. Meantime, Herschel leaves and Maggie doesn't know where he went. So she happens to be walking in the street and she sees Negan. And she goes inside the cathedral and Negan's talking to her and he says, well, I think Herschel probably went to the Broadway theater. That's probably where the Dharma is. He wants to find the Dharma. And he assures Maggie, he said, look, the Dharma died. She was burned in a fire. You don't have to worry about her anymore. And, Negan was saying, my wife and kid are coming. This is before he sent them away. And he was asking Maggie for advice. And Maggie, you could see, she has some sympathy for Negan. But she's never going to forgive him for what he did to Glenn. She sees Negan has changed a lot. Like he said to her, I think about the good times, the past, before all this started happening. They were good times, right? He needed some reassurance that there is something good in life before all this stuff started to happen. And she doesn't answer him, of course. She won't give him that peace of mind. But we can see that Negan is changing. Another scene, we see Negan find that historian guy locked up in the basement in a jail cell because the Dharma punished him for telling Negan that she was a critic, a Broadway show critic. So Negan frees him, and they're having a nice discussion. Negan has his bat there, Lucille, and he's telling this guy about how he used to be a leader of the Saviors, how he would kill people. And he realized, he said, I thought I was protecting my group, but I realized I actually was hurting them. So it's like Negan is coming full circle. He's he's starting to understand himself better, which I don't know how to take that. Because when we see characters usually come to these realizations, it's not too much long after that the character dies. So I don't think Negan will die right now because they're planning another season. But I'm wondering if next season he will die. So it's kind of interesting to see what happens. But anyway, getting back to other parts of the story, Maggie did have a talk with Jenny earlier in the episode. She suffered an injury near her hip. I don't know, something scraped her, a tree branch or something, and it's getting infected. But she doesn't want anyone to know. So Maggie comes in the bathroom and she's trying to clean her wound and she stops because Maggie comes in. And she knows Ginny wants to kill Negan. And she said, you know, I felt that way about Negan too. I wanted to kill him. I tried to kill him, but I didn't. Because I'm kind of afraid that if I do that, who am I going to become then? I want to help you with this, but I can't because I'm struggling myself. But I'm just letting you know how I feel. And of course, Ginny doesn't say anything. I think in this whole episode, she may have said one or two words. That's it. Ginny is a very annoying character. If they killed her off, I don't think anybody would care, honestly. She's like this bratty teenage kid who refuses to speak. And she just wants to kill Negan because she thinks Negan killed her father. So in the next scene, we see Bruegel playing cards. And he sees Armstrong and he beckons him to come and sit with him. Bruegel is playing bridge and he starts to explain the rules of the game to Armstrong. Armstrong says, I know how to play bridge. My grandmother taught me. And Bruegel said, well, Warren Buffett taught me, which I thought was hilarious, because this proves that Bruegel was a very rich man before the apocalypse happened. And he hobnobbed with billionaires. And he's letting Armstrong know. So that was funny. But anyway, he says to Armstrong, look, so are you gonna make a deal with me and help me get the methane? And Armstrong says, no, I'm not going to do it. So then Bruegel says, well, I found out something, and it would be, I'm sure New Babylon would be very interested to know that Negan is working here with the Barazzi. So Armstrong looks suspicious. He says, what do you mean? He says, well, a little birdie told me that you lied and told them that Negan was dead. So won't they be surprised when they show up and they see Negan is alive? So then Bruegel shows him a walker is there. And it turns out this is Colonel Lucia, the one who died in the last episode when the walker bit her. Supposedly, she was bitten many, many times, like, 20 times, by a few different walkers, according to Bruegel. And he found her. And she was able to tell him the whole story about Armstrong. Imagine this woman is dying. She's been bitten 30 times in tremendous pain. And all she's thinking about is telling the story of Armstrong and Negan, which I thought was ridiculous. But anyway, Armstrong knows if he doesn't do what Bruegel wants, Bruegel is going to turn him in as a traitor. And this means Armstrong could be hanged for treason and his wife and daughters also killed. So I would think that at this point, Armstrong is going to make a deal with Bruegel in order to prevent this from happening. And if Negan dies, he dies. I don't think Armstrong really cares. So that was an interesting scene. And then to see Colonel Lucia as a walker, I thought she looked great, actually. I think she made a great looking walker. I really enjoyed seeing her looking that way. That was a highlight of the episode for me, too. So the ending of the episode, actually, Negan is standing outside the cathedral, and lo and behold, Ginny is standing there with a gun pointed at him. And there's no word said between them. They're just staring at each other. And then Ginny just falls over. Because the wound is so infected, she's weak. And Negan catches her. She passes out. And that's how the episode ends, with him holding her and seeing this wound. So, overall, I think the episode was okay. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't horrific, but it wasn't great. I do think that the big problem is with the writing. Now, I know Lauren Cohan had directed this episode, and she did a good job directing it, I have to say. I have no qualms with the directing, but the writing is an issue. Some of the things that happen just don't make sense. One of the biggest things that I don't understand is the Croat is the one who invented this whole process of taking a walker and making them into methane. And this is powering things, giving electricity, putting lights on, whatever needs to be done, it's creating energy and it's giving power. Croat is the most powerful person there is in this world at this point. He knows how to make the methane. He knows the process involved. He invented this. And they just dismiss him. Negan tells him to leave. Bruegel says, let's get the methane. But wait a minute, who is going to make this methane? I mean, you want to get whatever supply has been made already? Okay. Who's going to continue making it, though? New Babylon is going to grab it. Bruegel's going to grab it. And then what? What happens when it runs out? Isn't Croat the most valuable person here? So I think that's a big flaw in the writing. That's why I thought Croat would have taken power. Because I thought he would have said to himself, okay, the Dom is gone. This is my chance now. But he doesn't do that. And Negan doesn't think he's important enough. So this makes no sense to me. This is a big flaw. But anyway, that's my review on this episode. And I will be doing a few more reviews coming up. And I hope to see you all in the next video soon.